Let's do a brief state of the stimulus, if you will, to talk about the fourth stimulus checks, what we're seeing right now with momentum towards getting these checks pushed, and the momentum towards potentially getting these checks as a part of Biden's upcoming American Family Plan and his other infrastructure bills, as well as let's talk about the EIDL grant and loan issues that many people are running into. I receive questions every single day, and I do my best to find answers here. So I wanted to just kind of address the questions that I'm currently working on. That way I can put it out there and you won't feel quite as alone and confused with what's going on if one of these issues apply to you. And just know that I'm working towards answers here. I've already reached out to the SBA, but I just want to put this out here. And if you have other questions that aren't addressed and you think that it's something that needs to be addressed, feel free to leave those down in the comments. And if it's something that applies to a large number of people, I will do my best to find an answer here. So first, we're going to talk about the fourth stimulus checks, the odds of this happening, and a little bit about the American Family Plan. And then we're going to get into the EIDL grant and loan problems that many people are running into. So feel free to skip around to whatever applies to you, but I think it'll be illuminating on both parts of this video. So with the fourth stimulus checks, if we look at the last year, this round of stimulus checks is the least popular round of stimulus checks that we've seen so far. I mean, if you pull up Google Trends, you can see the popularity of just the search term stimulus check over time. You know, did obviously pretty hot around March of last year, obviously when the very first checks were coming out. It peaked in December. That was the peak popularity. In March, it was about 3/4 the popularity of December. And then now we've pretty much bottomed out to a scenario where it's less popular than it's been in the last 12 to 14 months in totality. And I think that's for a few reasons. First, because the media just simply isn't reporting on this as much. And that is as a result of the second reason, where we're in a situation where things are getting better economically, and there just simply isn't as much push as there was before to get a fourth stimulus check. Now there is a push, but just not quite as much as before. We don't have as many people coming out every single day saying, hey, let's get these checks done. Now there is a push, like I said, so let's cover who is pushing for it, what is pushing for these checks, and then we're gonna cover some more details about the bottom line. So we have Democratic senators who have written a letter to the Biden administration saying, hey, we want more checks, we want them reoccurring. We have Democratic House members who have written a letter to Biden saying, hey, we want more checks, we want them reoccurring, we want unemployment boosts. We also have certain economists who are pushing for more payments as well, both on the stimulus check side and the unemployment boost side. And they cite that this is going to help things like child poverty and, of course, the unemployment rate, helping GDP and small business growth, you know, as more people have money and they're able to spend it at small businesses. We also have many voters on both sides of the political spectrum. We have Democratic voters and Republican voters who are answering polls saying, hey, we want more stimulus checks. However, the popularity isn't quite as high as it was in the past, as even people are a little bit more reserved now. And I can just tell even in the comments of my videos, more and more people are saying, how are we going to pay for this? You know, this is the fourth round of multi-hundred-billion-dollar payments to the people. We have to start thinking about, you know, paying for this. So I can see that the popularity is slightly waning. So let's talk about the bottom line here and a few things to look out for. So first is Biden's American Family Plan. We have an overview of the general details here, but we don't have all the fine nitty-gritty details. We expect that to come out in the coming week. Now, as a part of that bill, it will very likely include an extension of the child tax credit. This is the $250 to $300 per month child tax stimulus check, if you will, to families that is set to last all of the year of 2021. And Biden's American Family Plan is rumored to continue that through 2025. Now, I will say this is a rumor. However, typically when the media says this is very likely in the bill, that's what ends up happening. I mean, it's very similar to my contacts at the SBA. When I ask them a question, they give me the answer, you know, maybe a week before it's actually reported, and it always ends up to be the case. And that seems to be very accurate with the media. They get their hands on these details before it's actually presented by the White House or whoever is presenting the bill. Next, we would need moderate Democratic support. So this is something that you want to look out for as far as the passing of a fourth stimulus check. Now, Joe Manchin, he was not even a fan of the third stimulus check. Kristen Sinema, she's kind of up in the air, maybe not quite as conservative as Joe Manchin, but those are keys to getting this passed because it would need to be passed through budget reconciliation. And as of right now, there is basically zero Republican support, even Republicans who are kind of towing the middle between Democratic and Republican. Next, and this is probably the biggest thing you want to take a look at, is the unemployment rate. This is really the metric that they've used over the last year, and they use for just the general health of the economy over any other metric. Now, the unemployment rate is hanging just over 6%, and we really want that at least down to like 4%. So my expectation here is if this hangs out around 6% for the next 5 to 6 months, it's very likely that we see another stimulus check. However, if we see that ramping down maybe by 5-10% of that total each and every month, the odds of another stimulus check are decreasing every single month. Now, there's a few other metrics you can take a look at if you're wanting to kind of monitor if this is likely to happen or not. Those other things that you can look at are consumer confidence, GDP, and retail sales. But again, the unemployment rate is generally the most important metric that they take a look at, even though the unemployment rate isn't the most reliable metric. They just use that for a lot of policy decisions. So in summary, the fourth stimulus check has the least odds of being passed of any other stimulus check. If we're just being honest, if you're upset by that, I'm sorry, but we want to take a look at the details and be realistic about what exactly we're seeing here. Now, is it impossible to happen? Absolutely no. But where we stand right now, I would say, maybe 20%, 25% odds that we see a fourth stimulus payment in the format of direct payment. Now, we are going to see other programs like the expanded child tax credit, maybe more small business programs, maybe first-time home buyer programs, other things like that. But a direct payment, I would give it a 20% odds right now. And I'm sorry, I'm not hyping this up, but I just want to be realistic. I think that's the most important thing to do for my audience over time, is just be realistic with these things. I think it's served me pretty well so far. So let's talk about the EIDL grant and loan and the issues that people are running into. So I just want to list some of the problems that people are running into and just let you know that I'm working on this and other people are in these same situations if you are also in this situation. So first, many people are reporting that they've been denied the $10,000 EIDL advance either late on the 22nd of April or early on the 23rd of April. It seems like there was a bulk number of people who were denied this. I've reached out to the SBA and I've asked, is there anything to these claims or there's anything people should know? They've yet to respond yet, but I want to just put that out there that I have an eye on this and I'm trying to dig to see if there's any answers we can find here. Next, the December stimulus bill outlined that if you were denied, the SBA needs to send you a letter as to why you were denied. So all these people who were denied the $10,000 grant, you should be receiving notice as to why, and then you should be able to appeal that if there's something wrong. Now, I wanted to know also if there are other reasons why people are being denied aside from the basic 3 general criteria that you need for this $10,000 grant, being in a low income census tract, which disqualifies the most people, seeing the 30% reduction in sales, and having 300 or fewer employees. I want to know, is there something else that's happening here? Is there a glitch that's denying people? Is there something else that we should know? That way people can just plan ahead and make sure not to make mistakes. I mean, that's why I have something to talk about every single day, because these systems are so complicated. Now, another question or issue, if you will, that I want to find the answer to, and I'm working on getting the answer to, is how long will someone have to appeal the EIDL grant denial after receiving notice? So let's say you were denied that $10,000 grant. Do you have a month to do it? Do you have 2 months to do it? 6 months to do it? How long do you have? And this is important because if you don't receive that denial letter for a while, you want to know, like, hey, once I do receive it, I'm actually, going to have a chance to get this funding. Also, many people have not been able to access their EIDL portal. Now, I assume that this is likely just a server issue, but I did reach out to the SBA to see, hey, is there anything to this? Is there anything that people should know? Is there anything that people should do in order to access their portal if there are issues here? Also, now this is a really big issue that I'm digging deep to find answers to, because there's been multiple people who have reached out to me specifically on this. A lot of people are running into issues still with their 4506T tax return request and the IRS not having the tax return or there being some issue with that process. Now, I will say the reason why they are requesting the 4506T, either for the $10,000 grant or the loan increase, is because under the CARES Act, the SBA was disallowed from requesting tax returns to prove legitimacy of businesses. Then in the December stimulus bill, that was repealed, and they are now able to collect whatever information they want to make sure that you are a legit business because there was so much fraud the first time around. So it seems like they're going a little bit gung-ho on the requesting information, and the 4506T process is not a perfect process. We know that much. So there's issues with it. But two particular issues that I'm seeing here is, for whatever reason, you have to send this request, but there may be a situation where the IRS doesn't have your tax return, or it's just more unique situations. And what I've found with this is, for every unique situation, there's 1, 5, 10,000 businesses who may fall into that criteria, and you're just kind of sitting there like, I don't know what to do. So the first one that I've heard is people who have filed paper tax returns, sometimes for 2019, because the 4506T generally is going off your 2019 tax return for the SBA purposes. If you file a paper return, sometimes it is not processed yet. And if it's not processed yet and there's a request for that tax return, it's going to pull up as if nothing was there, and the SBA is going to be like, well, nothing's here, where's your proof? And as of right now, there's no manual way to fix this. Also, in Puerto Rico, which there's a lot of people applying in Puerto Rico, they don't file regular tax returns. So submitting a 4506T is going to pull up thin air because there's no actual tax return there, but they are a part of the US. So there's a lot of people worried about filling out this form saying, hey, I have a tax return, sending it to the IRS when there's no tax return there, but that's the SBA process. So I'm really trying to find out if there's anything that people can do, or if there's any plans to make a kind of manual review or alternative proof of legitimacy, because this is obviously a massive issue with this loan program. So I'm working on the answers here. Again, ask other questions below if you are interested. Also, in the description below, you can sign up for this program that I am in the process of making. I've been spending the last couple months on it, about just how to build and run a YouTube channel. I am really excited about it, so you can sign up to be notified once that is complete, because that's going to be huge. So that's going to do it for today. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.